How's it going, movie fans? Welcome back to another review on the channel. Today we're looking at Tenet, which was released in 2020. It's directed by Christopher Nolan and stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Kenneth Branagh, Elizabeth Debicki, and other people as well. So Tenet is a movie that released in 2020. Originally scheduled for July 2020, was then pushed to August 2020 and released in August 2020 across the US and Great Britain. And it is also a movie that actually stirred the controversy because it was actually released in Great Britain and other countries before it came out in the USA. So it sparked the conversation of should movies be, coming out in America first and then in the UK. Some reason never did that. Obviously the Bond franchise was famous for releasing in Britain first and then going to America a couple of days later. But Tenet was a big movie that was an American-made movie essentially, even though Christopher Nolan is, British, but it was an American-style movie that came out, before that came out in America, in Britain, before it came out elsewhere. So, but yeah, the movie is very, very, very confusing. But I have to admit, all the actors give strong performances. John David Washington as the protagonist he's a very it's a very good role, and it's also, to understand the character, you also have to understand the story, which makes it harder to comprehend a lot of the characters and stuff. But I think, like I said, it's a Nolan movie, so the set piece is fantastic. The everything around it is fantastic. It looks visually like all the money that they put towards it came off on the screen, so that's fantastic. It's a Nolan movie, so it's always going to be brilliant. But I have to admit, I think it goes above and beyond many Nolan movies. I think the set pieces are fantastic. The whole concept of time and inversion is an interesting concept, and it does, lend itself to that style, that sort of almost where they have to do lots of camera trickery to get it to work. And again, one of the biggest complaints of it is that the fight scenes look very basic, but that's obviously because they have to choreograph them twice, perform them twice, and then invert one of them, so it couldn't have been too intense, which makes sense. I understand that criticism, but in the context behind the movie and how it lays itself out, it makes sense. But again, I think a lot of the big action scenes, the opening scene at the opera, that's an interesting scene, to say the least. It's a scene that I think how much of a balance on the plot does it really have, but it's there, and it's a movie that does lay down its importance. I think everyone plays fantastic roles here. I think the scene where the airplane is pushed through the building in the airport it's a big set piece that obviously costs a lot of money to do, and you see the behind the scenes stuff. They really put effort into that scene specifically, and I think it paid off. I mean, the movie is it's brilliant. It's a fantastic movie, and I have to admit, it's a spectacle, but it's a movie that you really need to see a couple of times to fully understand, and that I haven't quite wrapped my head around yet. But it's a movie that I highly recommend everyone to see. It's brilliant. It lays itself out properly. The story is given to you, but you have to sort of rewatch it a couple of times to fully understand what's going on in the context of the movie, on top of the layered character development and then the 6 or 7 characters that get chucked at your face at one point. But a big point that I want to talk about here regarding the movie is, of course, Christopher Nolan is famous for his collaborations with world-renowned composer Hans Zimmer. Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Inception, Dunkirk, Interstellar. Every Nolan movie, pretty much, after Batman Begins was composed by Hans Zimmer, except for this one, because Tenet, obviously, because 2020 was supposed to be a big year for Zimmer. He had a lot on his plate. Top Gun Maverick, Boss Baby 2, SpongeBob movie, No Time to Die, Harry Haft, Hillbilly Elegy. He had a lot of stuff on his plate, and he just couldn't. I don't understand why you would turn a Nolan movie down and not chuck one of those other ones off the plate. But obviously, he'd already committed to those movies, and he couldn't commit to doing Nolan's film, which I feel like, given the global pandemic that occurred, he could have fit it in. But I feel like the composer that Nolan chose to do the music for this movie is probably the composer that I would have chosen to replace him, because he's very much the same sort of. And obviously that is Ludwig Göransson, who obviously in the matter of 3 or 4 years, from went to composing short, indie films and stuff, to Marvel, Star Wars, and Christopher Nolan. It's quite a feat. The man, he composed The Mandalorian, Black Panther, and Tenet. Those are his 3 biggest projects, and to go from stuff like Fruitvale Station, which is a brilliant film, but lower level indie films to three of the biggest franchises and or people in Hollywood, Star Wars, Marvel, and a Christopher Nolan movie. That's quite an achievement, and his music here, it doesn't disappoint, because Ludwig Göransson is a very talented composer. He really has this very futuristic style composing here, and obviously he much like Zimmer, he can do different things and it sound differently. Mandalorian sounds different to this movie. The stuff for Black Panther is very different to here, but here he lays it out perfectly. He gives the music this very natural feel, this feel that adds that layer of complexity to it, because the music also unravels itself, and it also obviously him having to mix it in a certain way that allows it to also, some of it is obviously the music and some of it is actually inverted. And there's also Warner Brothers Music, who obviously put out the soundtrack and stuff. You can listen to it now everywhere, Spotify, Deluxe Edition soundtrack out now, I own it and stuff. But Warner Brothers put out an inverted version of the soundtrack, like obviously they didn't put the album out like inverted album, they just put the full on the YouTube channel, the full soundtrack, but it's inverted, so that's really cool, and I think that does add that level to it. I think the music definitely puts itself there out as less of a companion and an integral part of the story here, because the music tells the story in so many regards here, and it's layered. Really, it's layered. You have the bass layer of you're hearing now, that sort of that there, then that's the bass layer, and then it also builds on top of that by going higher in some places but lower in some places, and I think that's perfect. Obviously whatever used instrument wise is very very specific to this movie, I suppose, in a way, but I think the music again is a character in its own right, and that's flippin' tastic. But it begs the question of, will Hans Zimmer return to the next Nolan movie? I hope so. I would love Hans to return, but at the end of the day, who knows? Ludwig's a very talented man, and maybe Nolan must have fallen for the Ludwig, put it that way. I don't know if he will. Who knows? But again, I'm excited to see Hans Zimmer's upcoming products. Obviously, in 2020, also Wonder Woman 1984 was on display. I forgot to mention that one, so it was a big year for him. But a lot of those movies got pushed to this year, although Wonder Woman did come out in 2020. But SpongeBob has come out. No Time to Die is still yet to come out, along with Top Gun Maverick. Hillbilly Elegy has already come out, but Harry Haft hasn't come out yet, and then he's also got an untitled JR movie as well, and then The Boss Baby 2 is also still yet to come out. But yeah, I can't wait to see more of Nolan, Göransson and Zimmer in the future. And I think again here, the movie itself has some great action sequences. Obviously the sequence with the car and the inverted car is fun too, because I remember that was one of the sequences where, when it was being filmed, I saw a lot of people filming that, because it was obviously in a big wall area, it's in a bridge, it was on a main road and stuff, so people were filming that scene, and the car was actually shot almost going backwards essentially, which I think was really, the fact that they managed to physically do that was really cool. But yeah, Tenet is an experience, and it's an experience that I for one had the most enjoyment of on the big screen, but seeing it back at home again, you have to really see it a couple of times to fully understand. But yeah, that's just that really. It's a fantastic movie. Like I said, it's an experience. I recommend you dim the lights, get some food, and just prepare to be mind blown in several different fucking ways. But yeah, that's my review of Tenet, Christopher Nolan movie 2020. Again, I own the Blu-ray here. It's lovely. It's actually the bottom of my thingy. But yeah, the movie itself is brilliant. But yeah, thank you guys for watching my review of Tenet. Like I mentioned, I have officially made the decision, there will be no review on Monday the 21st of June 2021. I hope you understand this. Obviously I'm at the World of Adventures Resort on Monday, hopefully, fingers crossed. If I'm not there, because it's potentially not okay, then obviously the review will probably go up. If not, it doesn't. But yeah, I will be doing a stream tonight, this evening on the 19th, and it will be talking about something that I found very upsetting on Twitter today, involving the Thought Park Resort. So I'll going in depth my thoughts on that this evening. Join the Twitch stream, don't forget. But yeah, also again, I'm on Thought Park on Friday, so yeah. But tomorrow's review is an absolutely masterful movie, Joker. I adore that movie. It's a fucking fantastic movie. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to sub drive. Thank you, and bye bye for now.